Yo, Tuesday night. You know what it is. It's the Hockey Happy Hour coming at you live on A2D Radio. A lot of Flyers to talk about tonight. Pretty important question here tonight for you guys. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment in. Are the Flyers a legit playoff contender with where they are and how they're performing now? We'll find out. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss a recap of the second half of that Metro stretch we talked about last week. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. Once again, comment in. We want to hear from all you guys. It is time to talk puck, but before I do that, I was unprepared. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment in. It's time to talk some puck.
What's up, my family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Slap.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah!
What the f*** are you talking about?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. We are live on A2DRadio.com. And once again, brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal. If you got any aches and pains causing you all kinds of frustration, just go to the doc and he'll take care of you. Make an appointment at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com and head on over to Cherry Hill or Burlington, New Jersey. And one of the highly trained professional teams he's got in one of those locations. Let me sure he ain't got no more than makes some pains. Okay. And so with that, we will dive into our poll question brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Mention A2D and you get 10% off of your in-store purchase. All right then, and let's throw out the poll question. The Philadelphia Flyers are making a case to be a legit playoff contender. Agree or disagree? They had a pretty interesting run and against these last 7 games against the Metro teams, and they swept a home and home against their beloved, hated rivals over to Western PA and Pittsburgh. So, gentlemen, do you agree or do you disagree? Are the Flyers finally making that legitimate case, or do you feel like the jury's still out on them?
I'll jump in first. I mean, I'm going to be a homer and agree because it's really hard to argue the Flyers are not at least making a case based on their level of play and their early season success, sitting third in the Metro Division. I mean, they're certainly put themselves in a good spot. You can't make the playoffs before the calendar turns to January, but you can ruin any chance with poor play early on. They still look outmatched at times versus elite teams like we saw in the Devils game or against the Canes last time out. The D's getting caught in the offensive zone too much without Ford's back check and making rookie mistakes. Torts pointed that out in his presser the other night after the game. But the compete is there. Tyson Forrester is red hot and he's been, given a commitment, a permanent spot on that top line, and it's delivering. Carter Hart's on top of his game. Danny B and Jonesy were on Jason Martinez's podcast the other day, and the two were echoing their commitment to building this team for the future without mortgaging wins for today. But the question is can the depth hold up during injury times? If the team starts slipping in the standings, will veteran D-men on expiring contracts like Sean Walker, Nick Seeler, and or Mark Stahl be ditched? Briere and Jones, they stated they will not stall if a proper deal comes their way. As well as just noticing how, much Ford Garnet Hathaway has been very noticeable on the ice. Now the team comes calling for a Hathaway with another year on his deal. Will Briere and Jonesy be as committed? A lot of questions still left to answer this season. So I think they've at least done enough to be in the conversation, boys.
All right. Bri, how do you feel about it?
Listen, it's hard to not agree with this right now with the way they're playing. And I've been a big preacher of, keep up the compete level, the results will come. We're seeing the results. This team is coming out every night. I have yet to really see this team get blown out. I still don't think some of these games that you see, like you might say that they got outplayed a little bit by the Devils. Yeah, but that wasn't a blowout. The game against LA when they were here 5-0, you could say that it was another game where they got outplayed, but they didn't get blown out. This team competes. They come out every night. Like John Tortorella said in his press conference, this team has balls. There's no other way to say it. This team is resilient. They're in just about every single game. They put the pressure on the defense. I mean, I'd like to see some of these games against the elite teams where they put a little bit more sustained pressure in it, but that'll come. That'll come with time. And this team just believes in themselves, and they've bought in on Torts. They've bought in Keith Jones and Danny Briere. They believe that this team that they have right now can be a playoff team. They're playing in win now mode. You see it. You got some of these younger guys that are starting to really step up. Robbie, you said Tyson Forster, Owen Tippett got started. He's going now. Sean Couturier starting to fall back into form. The game winner, both games against Pittsburgh. One in a shootout, one in overtime. He's starting to find his form. Cam Atkinson's kind of fallen off a little bit, but I'm not worried about him. He'll bump back up. Need a little bit more leadership to really step up, but with some of these vets, the young guys are really outperforming, in my opinion, and I think that's going to be really what gets this team into the playoff talk. And then, obviously, whatever happens at the trade deadline is going to happen. I don't exactly know who's available yet and whatnot, but this Flyers team is competing. This Flyers team is putting effort out every single night. Some of these guys that they've brought in, and I see Swoopy's comment right here. Sean Walker's been great. He's been one of the many bright spots, and this is a guy that came from an LA team that they weren't even sure what they wanted to do with him. He didn't perform in LA, and now he came over here, and now he looks great. So he's one of the many pieces that's starting to come together for this team, and yeah, I agree. I think this team could be a legit playoff contender. We'll definitely find out within the next couple of weeks for sure.
With that, Soapy also saying, right now and for the foreseeable future, hockey is fun to watch again by the Orange and Black. Let's go. And he also says, have Sean Walker be QB for the power play. He's a good puck handler. And Moira, who we haven't seen in a while.
Hey.
What up, Mo?
She's saying, agree to the poll here. I think they have the right personnel and upper management who have made sure the message is clear that they want to win. Let's go. And Joey DiBardino, Joey, saying, definitely already exceeded expectations early on. And Benny's Nation saying, slightly agree to the poll. We are talking about kids who have not had to play all 82 games yet. I'm afraid that the number of games will take its toll and they will fade down the stretch.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Benny. I like that's why I was sheepish about my agree, but I just think they made a case what they've done to this point. But even in that agree, I said, will the depth hold up? Injuries come calling, and we've seen this young team make mistakes. Those get exploited when you have more tape on them, too. So it's a long season. We'll see how it goes after game 82 for sure, Benny.
John saying, someone give Vladimir Putin a call and tell him we won Matvey Michkov.
Not a Putin issue.
Here we go.
It's a KHL issue.
Let's see. Yeah, so what's going on, Moira? Hopefully you've been doing well. And happy Thanksgiving belated to you because she said that in her first comment. Jake saying, what's up, fellas? What's up, Jake? All right, so as for me on the poll, I am going to disagree. Now, I know it may sound like I'm being negative. I'm not. I'm just being realistic. I don't think the Flyers are going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to try for it. I think they're going to put some effort into it. I don't think they make it. It's not because I don't think the Flyers are a hardworking, good team. I think there's that attitude that makes them play up and play better than what on paper they should play as. But I don't see them holding. I think that I think that right now the Flyers we're only still a quarter of the way through. We haven't even hit the All-Star break yet. So I would ultimately say if they're still here come February, if they're still in the same spot or even higher in February, then yeah, okay, maybe we can have this conversation again. But right now, no. They are not in a position. I just don't see them doing it. I mean, again, not trying to be harsh, not trying to be rude. Just don't think that it's going to hold.
It's a tall order, Maddie, because there's a lot of great teams on this side in the Eastern Conference. So, but to be a contender doesn't mean you're going to make it. Just you're going to be in the conversation. That's sort of how I interpreted the poll, and that's why I went to the agree. Whether they'll be there in the end, it's a tough question because despite the depth issue, Maddie, right? I'm seeing these guys play with confidence. I'm seeing these guys play beyond their years, making really crisp offensive moves that I've been sweating other teams for the past 2 or 3 years. Now I'm seeing them do it with finish. So, I mean, anything's possible. Anything is possible. I'm not resting on those laurels, right? I just think when all's said and done, they're not going away anytime soon.
Right, and the purpose of this poll question being phrased the way I phrased it is because they were expected to be a bottom feeder this year. Like people were clamoring, oh, this might be a team that finishes finally gets the number 1 overall draft pick. Celebrini to Philly. Now we're having a whole nother conversation because of, like you said, a team that's playing with confidence, a team that's bought in on a system completely, a team that's bought in on a belief that, now that you bring in Keith Jones and Danny Briere, who are resetting this era, that are kind of setting a standard of what Flyers hockey needs to be, these guys are falling in line. And on top of it, you're finally almost 100% healthy. I'd say you're like 98%. We're just not going to count Ryan Ellis in that. But you get a guy like Sean Couturier, such a diff leader in the locker room. He's one of the best two-way players. He's one of the best offensive defensemen. He's one of the best guys in the face-off circle. He knows how to shut down top line. On my back, but he's not a defenseman. He can only do so much.
You cut out there for a second there, Brian. What did you say?
Yeah, I know. Hang on. Let me set up my hotspot real quick.
Okay.
I keep hoping that my
I keep hoping.
Right. Hope. We're holding on by just a thread is hope.
Betty's Nation, if the goaltending holds up, especially with Sam playing well, in addition to Carter, they could steal some games. Yeah, we're seeing a lot. I think we still a proof positive was Monday night, right?
Yeah. Watching yesterday live, the Penguins with their offensive attack, they were coming at the Flyers with everything they had, and Hart was just, man, he was on fire. I'll tell you this too. I was with a friend who never really watched the Flyers all that much, likes hockey, but doesn't really watch it, more follows football. So he's there that night with me, and he's watching the game, and having no context, no nothing, he became a Carter Hart fan right there on the spot with just how well he played last night. So I was just like, hell yeah, Carter's the man. See what I'm talking about? Aren't you happy we never traded him?
That's the thing too, Maddie, is, you had all these rumors swirling around Hart. Everybody's he's too inconsistent. He's starting to see the consistency now. We've been saying this for years since he's been brought up. His work ethic is second to none. This is a kid that wants to win. This is a kid that wants to bring a cup to Philadelphia. He loves being here. Like Jamie Baskow of the Flyers Native Gritty says all the time, give this man a contract now, because he's starting to hit his prime. He's starting to hit his stride, and we're really going to see what this kid is really made of now.
Right. Absolutely. So, with that being said, while I am in the disagree category, Rob was on the agree. Although I will say he's on the agree with a little bit of that question mark at the end there.
Accurate.
And Bri, you are on the disagree.
Oh, I'm a full agree on this one,
Oh,
boys.
full agree.
I'm
Okay.
a full agree on this one.
All
You don't
right.
necessarily need to make it, but they're going to be in the conversation come February, March.
If that's the case, then great. Even if they don't make it, it's like, all right, you showed us a little something. That's nice. Let's
Well, what's
see where we go
interesting
from
is Swoopy in the comments goes, even if they are in position come February, he still wants to see them sell.
Yeah.
And that'll be an interesting question what happens there, because I don't necessarily disagree with you, Swoopy, because there's a lot more that this team needs to do, and they have a lot of good assets, especially on the blue line where they're expiring contracts. You know what I mean? That's prime time to deal, right? But they've said that they're not mortgaging wins now for tomorrow, so I don't think they'll be necessarily adding anything to the roster come trade deadline, but if they're say a couple points out of the second wild card, they've dropped down at that point, then I think it's a sure bet that they won't try to make a push for it. They'll come back. But if they're still where they're at in third, could you really sell? I don't know if I could. Because sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle with a bunch of kids that just come together and do something special.
Right. And, that's why I like to use the term. I think they're going to be a conservative seller.
Right.
I think they're going to see what they have at that point, see how well this team is, see where they are in the standings, see what's available, who's available. And then you're going to see from there. I mean, Keith Jones was saying he's not against bringing in any contracts if it's going to be something that's going to be worthwhile for the Flyers to do. So they could potentially be a conservative buyer at the trade deadline. We'll see. I mean, there's still so much time between now and the trade deadline, and there's some moderate consistency with this team. And I honestly think that there's only going to be. I think last year was their rock bottom, and I think this team is just going to continue climbing up and up and up, especially as the season goes and these guys start creating more chemistry with each other. Tyson Forster really takes off, playing really hot right now. Owen Tippett takes over, playing really hot right now. Konechny keep doing what he's doing. It's a lot of talent on this team, and there's more to come. You got to, at some point, you got to get rid of some of these contracts to make room. But I think right now, maybe you're conservative seller, conservative buyer. We'll see come February.
Oh wow. Anthony's saying the Flyers should sign Corey Perry so he could be security of MILF. Oh wow.
Well, he's not going to be signed for a while. He is currently getting help for, we'll call it, substance abuse.
Well, that doesn't help his case whatsoever. And Canuckstork saying, what's up, fellas?
What up?
Keep doing pretty good, baby.
Yeah.
He's also saying, what would a retro revamp look like for my Canucks jerseys? The skate. Bring back the skate. Bring back the black, red, and gold. That's your revamp.
I think that's their jersey right now, though. The jersey that you're talking about.
Go all the way with it. All the way with it. Go back to that jersey. Have your regular black is home, white is road, and then your alternate is the ugly V sweater. Perfect. I've got your New Jersey set right there.
Nice.
All right, then. So with that, we're going to keep on moving on to the first period. And the first period is brought to you by eXp Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, or you have a change of career or brokerage, and contact Alan Foy at eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820, or visit him at alan.foy at exprealty.com. All right, gents. So now we're going to jump into the first period, which is pretty much us breaking down what happened with the Flyers being a playoff contender. And what I think we could definitely do is that we could talk about how, are with the Flyers being a pretender or a contender, we can kind of compare them to other teams in the league and see what teams that we feel as well, along with the Flyers, could be considered contenders or pretenders along with that. And how do we see this shaping out specifically in the Eastern Conference? So how do you guys feel? Like, what teams do you think, like, for example, what teams do you feel like the Flyers have a chance of outlasting, if there are going to be any, or do you think that the Flyers could get jumped by a certain team currently?
Well, I mean, Buffalo's gotten off to such a poor start. We expected big things from them, and again, we might just see a failing Sabres club not being able to get it together. Meanwhile, I mean, you watch them play, and there's no congruency there. Whereas you see that here with the Flyers. So that could be a team that they beat out. They could beat out an aging team like the Senators, who just don't have enough and just can't get over that hump. I look within the Metro division too. I mean, Washington's right there. We're a little surprised that they are, or what have you, being what that lineup has lost so far in this early season. So I think that could be the way they're playing in terms of the energy, the crispness on offense, right, and just that. How can I say, like, confidence? You know what I mean? To where I think that this team is showing enough skill and enough grittiness in the corner boards to outlast, be in the conversation with these teams.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Buffalo is flat. I don't want to say flatline, but they kind of fell on their face when they stepped out onto the ice come opening night. I mean, Islanders aren't really playing they're playing better. I still think the Flyers are better than them. I mean, it's tough to say because for me, like we had these expectations for some of these teams. I think the Flyers outlast Buffalo for sure. I think they outlast Ottawa, who I thought was going to be another playoff contender this year. They're not too far out of it, but they're a team that's kind of floundering a little bit. Oh crap! Who was the other team? Detroit. I think Detroit's a legit contender.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm watching the game here against Buffalo now. They're all over Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo's biggest issue right now is the defense hasn't been that great, and their goaltending is pretty suspect. That's the one thing that the Flyers have over some of these teams is they're getting consistent goaltending, not just from Carter Hart, but they're getting it from Sam Ersson as well. Defense has been better, I think, than both of those teams as well. I don't think they've been. I think Detroit's got the better D than the Flyers do right now. Offensively, I mean, of those three teams, the only one that I would say is better than the Flyers is Detroit. And it's only going to get better, especially when they get Patrick Kane on the ice. And I know he's going to probably have a rough start, but you put him with his partner, Big Cat, and Dylan Larkin. That's yeah. If I'm Don, I'm going 6 to midnight. Because you really have no choice at that point. That's a nasty line. But I mean, the expectation here for the Flyers shouldn't be, and I see a couple of these comments coming through here. It should not be Stanley Cup or bust. Obviously, it's get as close as you can to the playoffs. Like,
right, which is what we're talking about.
Yeah, you don't
not even winning the series, Teddy. But you know what? It's cool because I expected a lot of blowback because there are a lot of people that you talk about Flyers and playoffs, they'll immediately just laugh at you, right? Because they're still stuck in that. Well, they're going to be a bottom feeder team. I think that they've shown progression from there. So, but I mean, Ted, I respect your opinion, and absolutely no offense taken. And you are right. A playoff series is completely different facing the teams over and over again because veterans can make that adjustment. Kids have a harder time. You know what I mean? They're running around with that lead pencil out there. You know what I mean? They're one track mind. So I get it, right? But can we at least say that they're putting themselves in a good spot to be, closer to that fringe playoff team? And I mean, right now they've been in the top 3 for about a couple weeks now, even despite losing some tough games during that Metro gauntlet.
Right.
True.
And to build off of what you just said, imagine being a team that is where they are, right? Expected bottom feeder, potential playoff contender. You get Matvei Michkov next year. You get Cutter Gauthier next year. Add them into the mix. That makes the team that much stronger.
Yeah.
Coming off of having a team full of young guys, for the most part, with a year of playoff experience under their belts. That's making me want to go 6 to midnight right now. Just the thought of that. There's nothing to not be excited for right now. If they miss the playoffs, so be it. They missed the playoffs. But this team is a team that's in win now mode, and you can tell by their play. Especially some of the other vets. TK, I saw Ted ask, do we trade TK? Fuck no. I got 2 left. No, not at all. You do not sacrifice wins right now to trade TK. That sets his team back. And that would be a huge mistake. I saw Eric, I saw in the chat said Sealer, Stahl, and Atkinson. Yeah, what's up, Eric? Stahl's going to be a tough market. I don't know if you're going to be able to move him. Sealer, you could probably get a nice little return for. Atkinson, you'll probably have to take half the contract, but I think you'd be able to move him as well if he can get going. Those are guys that aren't going to set the offense back. If anything, that opens up spots for Cutter and Michkov for next year.
Right. But TK finally showing consistency, you know what I mean? And leadership ability. I'm on the opposite board, Teddy. I'm thinking I'm fitting him for a C. You know what I mean? So hey, Danny B and Jonesy have said that they're going to be taking all calls, and they'll entertain that offer if they can get enough back, right, and can continue building this team. Sure, but I don't think so. I think you got to. Like you just said, Brian, it would kind of set you back a little bit. I'm not saying you build upon this team. I would not be buying anybody if I'm this team. I would not be buying anybody from our past either. I read your comments, Prison. I would love it as a fan, but you got to move forward. I think with this organization, and I think there's enough kids in this pool where we're really seeing. Did you see that shot Forrester had last game? We're seeing stuff come to fruition. Let's be happy with that. Let's enjoy it. Take it in, savor it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Right. Quick, Maddie, before I let you jump in real quick, I just want to address Ted's last comment. So not confirmed yet, but we also know that, yes, it was not Bedard's mom. Potentially from what I heard, not confirmed, from what I've heard, still a rumor, it was the owner's daughter.
Well, no wonder he got his ass blackballed off the Blackhawks.
My man.
That's the rumor. Again, not confirmed, but regardless, that's something that shouldn't be tolerated to begin with. So Corey Perry got what he's asking for, and now he's getting the help that he probably needs. So
right.
My hat's off to Corey Perry. I hope his career isn't over, but like I said last week, I think his career's done.
Well, sometimes you
look at Bobby Ryan.
Well,
look at Bobby Ryan. He suffered the same. He had alcohol issues just as well as Corey Perry.
Right.
Corey Perry's career has been significantly longer.
But from what we know, he wasn't hitting on female employees.
Right. Yeah, that's a big difference.
You don't even know sometimes. You know what I mean?
Right.
He just woke up one day and he saw some lady in his bed. He has no idea.
Yeah. But the person sometimes got to trump the player. Go get yourself right. Go get yourself healthy. Go get your month chip. Let's go.
Right. Exactly. There's bigger things than hockey.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If that means that, you gotta go get your problems sorted out and stop thinking with the wrong head, then that's a good idea. So, what's up, Chucks? Yeah, the Buffalo Slug was the worst logo the Sabres ever had. To be fair, I don't know why they changed from the goat head to that Buffalo Slug. That was really dumb. That was really, really dumb. Those jerseys were ugly as sin, too. So, but anyway. Um, so gentlemen, with that, is there any major things other than that you wanted to bring up about the Flyers as a possible contender in this? Or is that everything you got?
Just one last thing I want to add real quick is, keep finding ways to win in the Metro. That's going to be your best ticket. I think I saw Swoopy say something about, I think I saw, who was it? No, it wasn't Ant. It was Swoopy. I think he said something about the penalty kill. Listen, the Flyers' penalty kill has been pretty strong this year. Their power play has been pretty strong as well. As long as they can find a consistency there and keep that stuff going, I see this team seriously making some noise. I really do, and yeah, there it is. That's the one. Everybody's doing their jobs in every facet of the game. All they have to do is just maintain the effort and consistency, and they'll be fine. And just find some ways to keep winning in the Metro. They've beaten almost every team except for the Rangers and the Devils. Sorry. Just keep it up. Just keep finding these ways to win in the division.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely hope to see that. I have one thing I want to bring up on the playoff contender. And by the way, God Crosby fan, the Robo Penguin is probably one of the coolest jerseys I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
I will never wear it. God forbid. I will never touch that jersey. But I can admit that was a cool jersey you guys had back in the day. Anyway, I'm going to say this, though, about the Flyers as a playoff contender. And this is the one thing that really makes me have pause is that power play.
Yeah.
That power play, while they can make some passing, they have no finish. It's not there. And a lot of times it happens too offensively, where it just seems like they would have more goals if they had that sniper, which they don't have. Their goals would be much more higher if they had some snipers available. The closest thing we have to it is Konechny. And when Coots feels like it, he could put him in the back of the net too. And a few other guys can do it, but that's on an occasion when they're really hot and they're going. Most of the time, though, there's a lot of setup with a lot of those guys. I mean, Lawton's probably the most guilty of them all. Love Lawton death, but man, sometimes he goes to too many passes. It's like, bro, I love your setup idea and I love your vision, but sometimes just shoot the damn thing. Just please.
I'm done on Superman this year, man. He has played poorly this year. Real quick, I didn't want to interrupt your point.
No, I got you. But you see where I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think that falls into the point perfectly clear. He passes too much and he doesn't put any finish behind his opportunities. But, I mean, other than that, I think some of the young players have a little bit of that skill to them. Bobby has, I think, a little bit of potential of having some nice scoring to him. Tippett, if he gets going, but the problem is Tippett has had his inconsistencies this year. And I think a lot of that's just he's been frustrated, I think, at times, and that's what's caused that to happen. But again, you need that sniper that's going to score. That's just, he's guaranteed hitting the back of the net. They just don't have them.
There's missing holes, Matty. You're absolutely right. But what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing education on the fly, right? So we saw Joel Farabee not back check well, and he got his ass benched for most of that game, and a lot of people would pout, right? But no, I think, what did he play, like a minute or two the first period, and sat the rest of the game, and he just continued to cheer on his teammates, be a good teammate, focusing on that, right? Keeping a good mindset for the team, right? Worked on his back check and came back the next game, delivered a beautiful back check and had a couple nice scoring opportunities. That's what you want to see. Just learn, get educated, make those adjustments, right? But as this team will develop, the power play is the last thing that comes together when you're talking about a bunch of kids, right? And yeah, having a sniper, which we, hopefully have in, a Cutter Gauthier or a Mitchkoff in the future on a higher level. But right now, right, I'd like to see Forrester start getting, have some more time on the power play, right? Ride, his confidence level right now, because there are guys that could shoot the puck well. So, in terms of sniper, yeah, I agree with you, Maddie, but there are people that could be starting to bury. So if we start to see this power play develop and come together, that could be the missing piece that we're talking about.
If it does come together, great. Then that pretty much is the one big glaring issue that's taken care of. But if we still have these same issues, even if you make it, how the hell are you supposed to make that work? Like, your power play is not going to get the job done anytime, like very rarely. It's like, that's not good because, your penalty kill's fine. Great. What about when you have the man up?
Right.
It's like, that's a big deal in the playoffs because there's some crucial moments in games in the regular season, and especially in the playoffs where you got the man up, you got to make it happen. You cannot just come back and say, well, we tried. No, that's not good enough. You didn't get a result. That's not good enough. 100 suicides right now, son of a bitch. Yeah, that's literally what you would have to say if you're John Tortorella. Out of pure frustration of just being dumbfounded as to why this power play sucks.
If I'm John Tortorella and I say something like that and my player comes back with, well, I tried.
Yeah.
He's doing more than 100 suicides.
Oh,
bro.
no, he's probably doing it. Yeah, he's probably freaking grabbing he's probably filling up bags of fucking sand and just saying, here, skate with these fuckers on right now.
2 down in 1 sentence. Wow, nice. I like your style, man. You're efficient.
But real quick, like as far as the power play goes, I mean, it's been an absolute struggle this year. But you got that's where you got to ride some of your hot hands, and you get Owen Tippett on a power play unit. You get Bobby Brink on a power play unit. You get Morgan Frost on a power play unit. You get your guys that have a shot, and you get them on the units, and you just let them go to work. And I saw Joey's comment, and you know what? It's spot on with what it is right now at being pass some more. They spend a little too much time looking for the pretty goal than getting a gritty goal. They had so much success on the West Coast with getting dirty goals. They've gotten away from it. And they beat some of the best teams minus Anaheim in the league. Anaheim was one of the better teams in the league at that point, but now they just absolutely are abysmal. Can't score a goal to save their life right now. You got to get a guy out in front. You don't have a guy in front. They're not taking away the vision of the goaltender. They're not, doing things to create second and third chances. It's pass, and pass some more, as I quote Joey DiBardino.
That's the big
Hello,
problem.
Tommy.
What's up, Tommy? He says, definitely agree. Hard not to. Love the way they are competing.
Yeah.
Mean Metal Mike saying, anyone surprised the Canucks could go all the way to win a cup is a real possibility this season. Am I crazy as a Flyers fan, or is it I see us losing to them in the cup? I think that's a little far-fetched, Mike. I think the Flyers goggles are on a little tight there. No. The Canucks, though, here's the thing. The Canucks should have been more competitive than they have been over the last 4 or 5 years. They've had a lot of problems. Most of it has been behind the scenes. And Benning has made some questionable choices. That's why he's been fired. And the team has had some issues coaching-wise, which is why they've now gotten to Rick Tocchet. And Tocchet seems to have finally unlocked the potential that was missing from this team that we hadn't seen since the bubble, when the last time Vancouver had a legitimate playoff run that you could pretty much say was great. Because when they had an amazing playoff run like that, they knocked off the defending champs. They got out of the qualifier. They went on a run. And it wasn't until it took game 7, I believe, for who was it that dispatched them? Was it Vegas? I think it took 7 games for Vegas to get rid of them. Or no, it wasn't Vegas.
Who was it? Vancouver?
Yeah, wait, it was Dallas, wasn't it?
When?
In the bubble.
Oh, I don't remember that far back. Barely
Yeah.
remember what I did yesterday.
I got you. I'm trying to remember who it was. But that was really the last time the Canucks had a really great playoff run. And since then, they've had such meandering seasons. And I think it seems like they finally figured out what they were missing this whole time. So that's where I feel like the Canucks differ from the Flyers, where the Flyers have been trying to fix their problems by kind of realizing maybe we're not as solidified as we'd like to be. Maybe we kind of need to scale this back a little bit. I feel like the Canucks were trying to make it work with what they had because they had enough talent. They just couldn't make it work. They were making bad decisions. So now it finally seems like they made the right decision, and you see what you're getting out of the result.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Tocchet is helping for sure. I think giving the Canucks players something to buy into, I think is a huge thing because this roster is not incredibly different from it was last year. You still have, I mean, you're not having a captain now. Now you have Quinn Hughes, who's a huge piece of that future. You have Bo Horvat gone, which oddly enough really took the team to another level. You would not have thought that. You thought that may have had him take a step backwards. But listen, they're doing a lot of things right. They're getting depth scoring. Their defense is playing well. They just upped the defense by getting Nikita Zadorov from Calgary for essentially peanuts. And he's a second pairing guy. I see you, Don. What's up, man? It's just funny. Like Thatcher Demko's playing out of his mind. And I know they had they had a lot of faith in the kid back before Markstrom even left. He's filling out his own. And the offense is doing a lot of what they do. You know, you got JT Miller as your leader on the offense. It's having a guy like JT Miller in your locker room is huge, especially a guy who just signed a long-term contract. Yeah, he had his issues the last couple of years about wanting to get out, but I think this team is all bought in on what they're trying to do here. And now they're sitting in 4th place in the NHL. They're the second best team in the West Coast. What the hell happened?
You get the right coach.
What?
You get the right coach. That's what happened.
Right voice, yeah.
Right. Chris saying, if given the choice, not based on position of need, just on best player, what Hughes brother would y'all take for the Flyers?
Quinn.
Yeah, I'm going to say Quinn Hughes. Because we need help on the back end. A little bit more so than necessarily the front. Nothing against Jack Hughes or what he does for the Devils. We found that out firsthand, unfortunately. But
I want Luke Hughes the least. He quits on plays. Oh, that's loud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Say, more to come on that. Trust
I can't.
me.
I can't sit there and say anything about Luke yet.
Yeah.
Too small of a sample size to sit here and say what. But I mean, as much as Jack is leader, Quinn, it's not even a question like that. He's got the C for a reason. That dude is captain material. He is leadership in a nutshell. And when you come out and you're quoted saying, "I'm tired of losing hockey," and then you get named the captain of the team, and you take your game to a whole nother level, that's a dude I want in my locker room. I love Jack. Jack is great. I think he's an offensive powerhouse. But no, give me Quinn all day.
So let's see here. Swoopy saying Flyers look good in the round robin 1-game series, but sucked in an actual 7-game series. Well, they weren't in that, Swoopy. They weren't in the qualifiers. They were the top team in the East, so they faced off with Montreal in a 7-game series, beat them, and then proceeded to lose in 7 to the Islanders. So now Vancouver, they did have to go to the qualifier. They beat Minnesota, which, to be fair, doesn't say much. A lot of teams beat Minnesota. So anyway, where has Vasily Podkolzin been? I love that guy.
Looking that up right now. I think he's hurt.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm double checking that right now.
All right, so while you're doing that, we'll switch over to the second period. But before we dive into recapping what we saw from the last part of the 7 games against the Metro, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we'll dive into the final games of the 7-game stretch against the Metropolitan Division. Until then, here's a word from our sponsors.
In our family, food is our daily bond. My nonna, affectionately called Mama by many, found solace and joy in the kitchen, sharing her love through delicious creations. She turned her culinary passion into a flourishing business alongside her husband and sons in 1983. Celebrating 40 years is a testament to our exceptional team, friends, family, and beloved customers. With gratitude, we look forward to the future, expanding our brand to share the highest quality Italian food and wine nationwide. Our heartfelt thanks to everyone who has played a part in our story. Grazie mille.
Hats.com is the premier destination for quality and fashion-forward hats and more, with designs for every style and trend. Locally based and run by Philly sports team fanatics, Hats.com can help you elevate your hat john. Utilize the easy-to-use guides at Hats.com to find your perfect size and style, and shipping and returns are free. Hats.com. Find yourself in a hat. Use code Philly for 15% off your order. Hats.com.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor, and fun. Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
All right, so back to it. Definitely check out those sponsors. All of them really great. And if you want some good food, you go to Carlino, get yourself a nice hat from hats.com. And if you got a man cave, Royal Billiards. What better place to go? Hell, you can use all 3 of them in one day. And you could have yourself a great man cave, get yourself something great to eat, and have a cool hat on top of it. Why not use all 3 right now? So with that, let's go to our second period, recapping the final games of the 7-game stretch against the Metro teams, which last we left off, they were just about to face the Devils, if I stand correct. So that game against the Devils, a little bit of controversy with that one. Starting up, well, first off, I love Carter. He did give up a softie, gave up a bad one to Holtz to start things off, 1-0. But you can recover from that. Unfortunately, then a controversial call got made in the first, which was Garnet Hathaway's hit on Luke Hughes, which Hughes went down. He was back in the game, so it wasn't like he was out of the game permanently. But he went off to the back, and he was in pain. There's no denying that. But Hathaway got a major for this and kicked out of the game. And the question that I have to wonder is, why? Why are you punishing him for a call when it was a clean check? What do you expect him to do? Not finish his check before the whistle blows? Because it was before the whistle blew. So it's not like the whistle blew and then he finished the check. Like, I could understand you making a harsh call on that one. But no, you don't make that call before the whistle blows. That's ridiculous. And the question that I have to ask is, do you think it's because it was one of the Hughes brothers that call was made, that the ref decided, you know what? It's one of their star players. I got to blow the whistle and make it a little bit heavier handed than I would if he had hit, say, Siegenthaler.
If it was Jack, maybe, right? But I think what it was is it was Luke Hughes was not expecting a check at that point because everybody on the ice thought it was going to be icing. But the linesman never blew the whistle, and they looked like they were waving it off. And then all of a sudden, he decides to blow his whistle late. That's what caused the whole thing, right? No late whistle. He doesn't get checked because, you're paid. You don't hear the whistle. So, okay, icing has been waved off. I'm, going for that puck. I'm going for the hit. And the hit itself, yes, Matty, was absolutely clean. But because Luke thought the play was over, wasn't bracing himself, he got dismantled. And it was the way that it looked. It absolutely worst. Like I'm gonna save my hot take for this later in the show, but I'm gonna say it now. Worst call I've ever seen in my life watching hockey. The worst call I've ever seen. And the way Tortorella just erupted on the referees, I was like, good for you, right? Because they deserve every bit of that because they caused that to happen with that late whistle.
I mean, you even saw Jack mouthing off at the refs too. Jack was not happy with the hit. Obviously, it's his brother, it's his teammate. But I mean, the refs got to do a better job. That call should have been, that whistle should have blown at least 10 seconds before that hit ever happened. That was completely avoidable. It was completely garbage that they didn't. And yeah, like you said, you saw Luke Hughes kind of slow up on that because he was about to touch the puck. He was expecting to get a whistle. There was no whistle. The whistle happened 3 seconds while Luke Hughes was in the air after getting just absolutely destroyed by Garnet Hathaway, which was a beautiful check, by the way. Let me just say that now. If anybody ever thinks that hit was clean, and I didn't see anybody say that it was a dirty hit, it was a very clean hit. It was a very hard hit. It was a very beautiful hit. But that's why they created the hybrid icing rule, is to avoid that situation.
Right.
Luke Hughes had the space. He was going to be the one to get to the puck first. Why aren't you blowing the whistle on that? That to me made zero sense.
Right. And that's what Bush brought up on the broadcast, said that it felt like it was like when you did touch icing, which it used to be before the hybrid icing rule. And yes, back then, before you touched the puck, you were fair game until you hit that puck. And so you could get railed into the boards pretty badly if you hadn't touched the puck by that point. So that's the problem. Like, you can't, like you said, hybrid icing. This is the problem we have with a lot of the issues with the refs. It's that they either get lenient with their whistleblowing or they get too tight with their whistleblowing. And I get it, it's not easy. I understand you have a very fast game you're calling. I get that. Here's the problem. It just takes one real shitty call to ruin the entire game. And it's then going to be a problem all game long because everything you do is now going to be heavily scrutinized. And then you're going to be the one, and the NHL does punish refs. They don't do it openly, they do it privately, but they do punish officials. And the way I looked at it, it's like, that ref should be punished, mostly because he put a player in danger. And it's as simple as that. It's like, he put him in danger. He should have blown that whistle way earlier than he did. It's like, that's on you, dude. You're the guy who's got the whistle. Blow it. It's going to be icing. Blow it. Don't waste your time. Don't sit there for an extra 2 seconds and let it go. Blow it. Right now. That's icing. Don't put that player in danger because he's expecting a whistle and then he gets taken out and almost gets injured because of that reason. It's like, that's a terrible play on the referee's part. That's the reason why I feel like the ref, if he is reprimanded, that's what he should be reprimanded for. It's just as simple as that he put a player in danger by not doing his job. And that's what you have to do as a ref. Your job is to control the game. Your job is to make sure players don't get hurt like that in unavoidable situations.
By the way, Vlasy is in Abbotsford.
Oh, okay. He's with the Canucks.
He's with the Canucks AAA squad. AAA. Gosh, I'm still in baseball mode and we're in freaking December. AHL team.
Speaking of being in baseball season, Bryson Stott was at the game yesterday.
Did you meet him? Did you say hi? Did you shake his hand?
No, he's in the front row. I was in the cheap seats. What the hell are you talking about?
That doesn't mean you can't bump into him.
Trust me, I don't think I was going to be bumping into him. Although he did do the whole Phillies big balls thing when right before overtime. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm also still trying to figure out how that was a match penalty. That's still like none of that whole situation made any sense to me. Like, I didn't see it as a boarding call. I didn't see it as an intent to injure. Garnet Hathaway, all he did was finish the play because he plays until the whistle, which is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And it was a clean shoulder-to-shoulder check. It wasn't up against the boards. It wasn't boarding. Just that whole situation just made no sense. It was just absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So we'll be saying that's the type of player Hathaway is. You know he'll finish checks when he has a chance if he can. True. And he said also a lot of times refs call it an icing when the opposing team is up closer to the puck. It's ridiculous. That's true. There have been times where it seems like, yeah, they beat him in the race, and yet they called it. What the hell? But anyway.
It's who hits the hash marks first.
Right.
They may actually beat him to the puck, but it's who gets to the hash marks first.
So with that being said, following that controversy, the Flyers do eventually tie the game up. Unfortunately, after tying the game up late in the third period, overtime rolled around and the Flyers had a bad turnover in overtime, which can happen very easily with 3-on-3. It goes back and forth very fast. And unfortunately, who gets it? Jack Hughes. And without fail, he buried it right past Hart on a good play that was made by the Devils. And he even took a bow after that, not to put any salt in the wound or anything, but he did, and that finished up the game. So the Flyers take a tough loss in overtime to the Devils. They then have to face off with the Penguins. So you go into these two games, home and home. You got to be thinking to yourself, okay, usual rule of thumb, you win one, you lose one. That's usually how it works. Well, the Flyers said, fuck that. With the hell with that. We ain't doing that. We're going to do, you say 3, you say 2. I don't know how many.
You got 2 left.
Okay. Anyway, my point is that they said to hell with that, and they decided, you know what? 2 wins in a row on Pittsburgh. They get a tough, hard-earned victory in a shootout again with Erson in the net, and then with Hart in the net, who basically steals the game from them yesterday, manages to get the win in overtime, an overtime goal that was just beautifully played, too, off of a nice little pass. And there you have it. Flyers win 2 straight games against Pittsburgh. It's just how this team works, man. They might take a tough loss, but they'll rattle off 2 straight wins against the Penguins. They lose to a Devils team that's been struggling. They rattle off 2 wins against the Penguins who haven't been playing all that bad. Although they've had their... Go ahead.
Yeah. Right. But I knew where you're going with that. But no, but what we're seeing again is resiliency. We saw it within the Devils game, right? They get down 2-0, take that bad call, right? Don't let it. Then, lo and behold, Morgan Frost scores on the power play, showing some promise on the power play against the tough Devils squad, right? While Morgan Frost getting more of an opportunity now to play with Noah Cates being out with a broken foot, right? This really creates a conundrum because Morgan Frost is not a Torts guy, right? But Danny Bree and Jones like him, you know what I mean? So it's like, will they continue to be that triumphant voice? You know what I mean? That'll be interesting, but at least, you know, Morgan, when he's given the opportunity, he's delivering. And then Forrester in that game. What about all for low-level pro players who won't make it to the NHL?
I like it.
I like that.
That's a good idea.
I like that suggestion. Former players, that'd be great. But yeah. No, so I mean, you know, of course, you know, Luke's going to take the bow after taking the hit, right? And 2 of them working that 2-on-1 there in overtime. But I just give credit to team coming back and Forrester bearing not 1 but 2 goals there in the third period, tie that game with the second one, the game tire being that high deflection too, which that's just a smart, intelligent play for such a young kid. But then, yeah, they lose it. So they come back and win and tie the game only to lose it in overtime, right? We've seen this team. Okay, now they come into a tough home and home with the Penguins. All right, we know this story, how this is going to go. They feel sorry for themselves. Nope. They come out and absolutely sweep them and, took their best shots and just continued to play up to the competition, which was really great to see. And, yeah, the goaltending, absolutely fantabulous.
Really well done.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, and I know I said this earlier, like the Flyers power play is like, it's hard to say that they're not trash, but I mean, I think you're starting to see it come around a little bit. They're starting to hit a little bit of a hot streak on it. As you see Tyson Forrester starting to heat up, he's starting to find some. Morgan Frost had one. Once these guys really get going, and I'm looking at the stats, so like I'm looking at the stats earlier. If you look at it, like outside of TK, there's really nobody on this team that's really, Joel Farabee is having a good year. He's got 8 goals on the year. I almost read Carter Hart, but he's not a goal scorer by any means. Owen Tippett's up to 8, and he scored his first goal like 2 weeks ago. So some of these guys are starting to find their stride. You just gotta hope that some of these younger guys start stepping up. That you expect them to, to be some of these really heavy offensive producing guys. Like, and I'm not putting any pressure on these guys. Tyson Forrester, you're expecting to be heavily into the offense as far as production goes. Bobby Brink, these guys are going to be guys that are going to be your power play guys at some point. But I think, like I said earlier, I think what you get with Cutter and you get Mitch Cobb up here, you're going to see a massive increase in power play percentage once those guys get up and get with the big club.
Right. And speaking of Cutter right away, I wanted to give him a shout out. He leads a list of 29 players that were invited to USA Hockey's final evaluation camp for the 2024 IIHF World Juniors. Now, the camp is set for December 14th to 16th, and the rosters will be cut down to 25. But you got to think Cutter would be on that team. And that's just going to be a great experience, playing on a world stage. I believe it's in Sweden. At the tail end of the year into 2024, but that's going to be a tremendous opportunity, and just talk about like further player development.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And real quick, I know he's hurt, but when Noah Cates comes back, he's really got to step up his game and get back to where he was last year. He's taken a huge step back, and his blue collar play was something that me specifically loved about him. He's still getting it, but he's not getting the rewards. He has to figure out a way to get back and start, getting some points on the board, getting his name on the score sheet. It doesn't matter if it's he's potting the puck or if he's, just giving him a helper. He's got to figure out ways to contribute a little bit more. He's only got 4 points through this point of the season. And again, I know he's hurt, but that's for when he comes back in 4 to 6 weeks, something like that.
Yeah. I believe it was max 4 to 6 week out period. But with Cates, he was just starting to turn it around there right when he took that block shot off the foot. Which is a real shame. But I mean, hey, hopefully, he can get back to the level of play we saw last year.
Yeah, for sure.
So. Me, Metal Mike, saying no one's even talking about how great LA, Arizona, and Detroit are playing. I mean, they are. They're playing pretty well. I mean, Arizona's probably the most surprising out of them. I mean, yes, the talent they definitely drafted some good talent, but I don't think anyone expected them to be as good as they have been. LA was expected. Detroit was expected too. But it's been expected for Detroit for a while, so it's good to see that they're finally doing that. For LA, it was a bit of a surprise a couple years ago. This time around, no, this was very much, okay, this was your year to get on that horse and possibly make something happen in the playoffs this go around. And let's see, Bruins, Pooh Bears.
I mean, real quick, Matty, I'm sorry. Arizona, man, real surprise here. Getting a lot of good play from the younger guys. I think, the majority. I'm actually looking it up right now. I think the majority of their goal scoring is coming from all their younger talent, like Dennis Cochier and Logan Cooley, who took a little bit to really like get acclimated with the NHL play. You know, he scored his first goal, I think, against Anaheim, and I feel like he took off from there. Just give me one more second. Where is my website?
You have a website?
Over there. There.
No, I have my go-to website, and it's not popping up here. Oh well, I'll just because I don't like using the NHL's website. The NHL's website just blows anymore. But I mean, if I have to, I got to do it this way. I'll do it this way. It's not a big deal. So
you want quant hockey?
Yeah. I mean, you're getting good goal production here from some, to me, unexpected guys. You know, you got Lawson Krause and Michael Carconi, who's really like not the guys you expected to really step up, but you know, Nick Schmaltz is another guy who's your first line center. He's got 20 points. Clayton Keller doing what he normally does. 8 goals, 16 assists in 24 games. That's something huge that they needed moving forward here. And I'm trying to find some of the younger guys. Barrett Hayton, 4 points in 16 games. I feel like he hasn't really turned into the player that they thought he was going to be when they drafted him. And I'm looking for Logan Cooley, but I don't know why he's not on here. Oh, there he is. There he is. I found him. 24 games. He's got 3 goals, 11 assists for 14 points. I mean, this team has offensively been there. Like, I'm looking at this. They're getting a lot of depth scoring here. But, I mean, the one thing that I think is really carrying this team right now is their goaltending especially from somebody like who this is the first I'm hearing of this kid, Connor Ingram. 15 games played. He's got 11 wins, 3 losses, a 2.23 goals against, and a 930 save percentage. This kid is playing lights out hockey right now for Arizona.
Yep. I'm paying attention.
Yep. Yeah, Prez, you already know, dude.
And DeMeo saying, does Cutter join the Flyers once his college season is done around the end of March? He could be a great addition for, dare I say, a possible playoff push.
I could see it. I could see that, like, kind of a la when they brought along, Noah Cates and Bobby Brink taking along that same route. I do believe when this season started, Cutter said, I'm committed to my college team, and we'll talk about Flyers after that, right? So after that team ends, yeah, I can see him getting some AHL experience.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm going to go a little step above you, Rob. I say they put them on the NHL roster depending on where they are. If they're a little bit lower in the standings and they're not by the end of March and they're not looking like they're going to make the playoffs, let them get the NHL experience.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That's only going to help them going in the next year as well. You know, it's happened before. I mean, JVR did it. Way back when.
True. Back in
but
2008.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Was it really that long ago?
Because they drafted him in 07.
Oh, God, we're old, Rob.
Yep. Hey! But you're right.
I know I'm right. It's unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, for real, like I could see it happening for sure.
To jump on the retro jerseys, I did not like the Flyers jerseys back then either. When they had that weird edge cutoff stripe crap they had going on, I didn't like those. I didn't like most of the Reebok Edge jerseys. They all kind of sucked in their own special way. But anyway.
Oh, the ones they got when they came back from the lockout?
Yes.
Oh, I actually kind of like the black one. The black one's kind of sharp.
I do have the black one though. Ironically, I have a Biron one. But let's see here. Don saying, can the Ducks get their shit together? I'm trying to see all of our teams in the playoffs.
Listen, I mean, good news is Zegras, Drysdale, and Isaac Lundstrom have all been on the ice practicing and skating. They're not with the teams, but they're in full gear, and they are skating again, which means that they're going to probably be back sooner than later. But Trust me, I want them to get their ish together again too, because I'm getting very frustrated watching this team.
All right, then. So now we will jump into the third period. Is there anything else you guys wanted to throw in on the recap before we do that?
Like Sean Couturier's play, he's looking stronger. It was good to see him finish there too. I really wish he put a little bit more emphasis on his shots. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times he's just throwing it up there like a caveman. You know what I mean? But he looked good in that overtime winner. So, but he just continues to get stronger and stronger, and that's gonna make a big difference. People doubting this team. You know, Sean Couturier has been there, done that.
Sure has.
Right. And I do agree. The shot selection sometimes has been a little suspect. A lot of feeties. They're going to that bottom side. I'm like, why? You only catch a goalie on that every once in a while. You very rarely catch them all the time. Anyway,
one thing I do like real quick before we go to around the league here is I like that he's got like a patented go-to move on the shootout now that works like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
He does that.
I love that he does it. Yes, that's the one. That's exactly the one I'm talking about too. I love it. Let me see here, because we're going to go to around the league. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So to around the league we go. And that is our third period, brought to you by Alonzi Travel. If you've got any destinations that are calling to you and you want to just get out of Jersey or get out of wherever you are and go on a little vacation, then Alonzi Travel is where you got to go. Specializing in creating the vacation of your dreams to Disney, Universal, or wherever your heart calls to. Let their talented team of travel experts create a custom vacation for you. Ritz and Chucks of A2D are the two gentlemen that you want to specifically go to because they are the experts in that department. And by the way, for all the fam out there that have been chiming in and chatting, guys, thank you very much. Keep it coming in. You are the lifeblood. Gleason's Bar is what you are sponsored by, located 6700 Mill Creek Ave in Levittown, PA. Use the promo code A2D for 10% off your order whenever you go dine and take out, or you go online at gleasonsbarandsteaks.com. All right, my boys, let's dive into the Around the League segment for the third period. Anything pressing you guys want to throw out there for all to see?
I don't know what Robbie's got, so I'm going to go first real quick and pray to God I don't steal your thunder, brother. First thing I have is just a little update on Patrick Kane. I thought I read earlier that he was making his debut tonight. I was wrong. They're expecting him to hopefully make his debut Thursday night at home in Detroit at Little Caesars Arena, where the Kane man returns. I know he's very hated here in Philadelphia, but you know, you got to give him his due credit here. He is one of the best American-born players of all time. You know, he's been missed throughout this league, and whether you like him or not, you have to admit that, because Showtime he's a special player. He really is, and he's only going to help Detroit take another step further, getting reunited with Big Cat, Alex DeBrincat, and you know, Steve Yzerman just going on and showing that this team is all in. And then the other thing that I have is okay, so a little build up to this one. So Flyers were obviously, the Flyers being where they are, I was hoping that they were going to make a move at the deadline for a guy who I thought could be a good leader for this team, who's now off the market. And that is Nino Niederreiter of the Winnipeg Jets, signing I believe it was a 4-year extension with the Winnipeg Jets. So they lock him up. They're doing a good job of getting these guys locked up now that they're starting to see where this team is. Locking up Scheifele and Hellebuck earlier in the season, and now getting Nino done. So good for them. That's all I got.
All right, then. Robbie, what you got for us?
I may have the biggest news of all. This is something we've been waiting for a while. The NHL announced during the Board of Governors meeting this past Monday, I believe, that the league will finally raise the salary cap to $87.7 million for the 2024-25 season. In case you're not familiar, currently it's at $83.5 million. So we get a raise of $4.5 million. That was on hold. This was scheduled before the pandemic, but the league lost so much money that that it was necessary to hold off on making this salary cap addition, and now it's finally gone through. I think this is really going to change the landscape of what free agents will be on the move or who will stay at home. Like, for example, Jake Gensel, who we saw the past 2 nights. He's on the last year of his deal. Now the Penguins might have enough money to retain his services. What's me, Metal Mike, saying?
He's saying, Rob, do you remember the 06, 07, 07, 08? Who was our tandem? I would have been then.
Back then, that was Robert Esch, and who was her backup back then? So I remember talking to Esch at the carnival. What a psychotic motherfucker! Oh, there's number 2 for me.
Yeah.
I know who it is, actually. I know the two goaltenders who actually made up that tandem after Esch got traded.
Am I wrong? Oh, Esch was gone by that time period?
No, Esch got traded a little way through the season.
Okay.
Yeah, so the other one was Niedermaki.
Right.
And then the final one was Biron, because we went and grabbed Biron halfway through the season when we found out that Niedermaki wasn't going to get the job done. So they had all that investment in him, and they realized, shit.
Forgot about that.
Frank Nitti, that's right. I remember that with the machine gun helmet. Yeah.
He had a cool helmet. It's just a shame his play didn't match it.
Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking it was Czech Manic.
No,
he was
this was after
sooner.
Czech. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a little bit earlier.
I think, was that the year he was in LA? He had one last year in the NHL in LA, and then that was it. He was gone after that. But anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Damien? Haven't seen you in a while.
Yo, what's up, brother?
Yeah, but at some point, Chicago had to hit that reset button. I think they made a great move. I think they made a good move. They got a nice return for him.
So, let's see. And yes, Czech Manic was crazy. So,
get rid of Kane and Tatum to get Connor Bedard, complaining that I never should have traded Kane. Yeah, Connor Bedard now. Stop it.
That must have been 03-04. I was thinking of the Carnival, right? But yeah, that was funny too. Esch, after 18 games played that 06-07 season, he went over to Russia.
That's right. Yeah. He left and went to Russia, and then the Flyers tried to go with Niedermaki, and they said, "Crap, Nitty's not going to do it. Let's go get Biron."
Right.
Well, the funny thing is, Biron was supposed to be the starter for Buffalo, and then this kid from the U.S. called Ryan Miller showed up. So, kind of stole his spot. Anyway, me Metal Mike saying Dallas had good goaltending issues in the early 2000s. Marty Turco wasn't that bad. I mean, I just think he had some rough moments every now and again, but I don't think Marty Turco was all that bad of a goaltender.
No. But, I'm also having trouble, trying to think of who they had as well, especially in the 2000s. I'm blanking.
Well, they didn't have Ed Belfour. They had him in 2000, but then that was it. He was gone after that.
Dallas has always been pretty steady on defense. I mean, you can't do any better than Jimmy Lankenbrunner, Joe Neuendijk, and Mike Modano as a line through that time.
Wasn't Jerry Letton in there?
I don't remember. I don't remember any Dallas's goaltending at that point.
Besides Turco?
Yeah, besides Turco. So maybe Mike has a valid point there.
Hopefully Stars fans Jackalopes here. Maybe he can help us.
He was in here. I don't know where he
was. Yeah. All right. So with that being said, anything else we wanted to throw in for around the league?
Real quick, prayers to Andy Moog and his family as he begins his battle with cancer. I heard that, I think, earlier in the week. I don't remember what form, but I remember hearing about that. So prayers and positive vibes to Andy Moog and his family. Great Boston, and I think he also played in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
goaltender. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's what triggered it was the Dallas conversation.
All right. Yeah, definitely thoughts and prayers to Moog. So on to the shootout then. And the shootout brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, Dr. Paul Vidal. If you have any aches and pains, go to the doc and he'll take care of you. All right then. So in the shootout, early 2000s. Early 2000s. Ben Bishop, well, I don't think he was there in the early 2000s. I think he was in Tampa before then. Let's see here. On to the shootout we go. And the first shootout segment for today, why don't we jump up to matchup of the week?
Cool, I'll jump in real quick. One I'm circling on my calendar. We talked about it earlier in the show with the Los Angeles Kings off to a good start to their season. They'll be at MSG battling the New York Rangers this Sunday, December 10th at 7 p.m. I think I'll be checking that guy out.
Nice. And by the way, hell yeah, I got it right. Lettinen was the goaltender between Turco and Bishop.
Good.
See what happens. See what happens, kids, when you don't smoke weed like Maddie. You remember shit. You remember things like this.
But thank you, Stars fan Jackalope, for clearing that confusion up. All right then, and Robbie, I got you, man. Good matchup to choose from. Bri, what you got?
Mine's not like a high caliber matchup to look at this week, but there's one that you should check out is Wednesday night at 8:30. Anaheim Ducks versus Chicago Blackhawks. You got Connor Bedard versus Leo Carlson. I'm hoping that Carlson is going to be playing that game because they do have him on load management because of the heavy workload he faced going into this season with dealing with the draft and the Swedish league and a bunch of other stuff. So he's been on load management, but he's been a huge bright spot for Anaheim early on in this season, and just hoping that continues. He plays, and I like to see the number one guy go up against the number two. It's always fun to see.
And I did not know Ron Tugnutt played for the Stars. I did not know that one. Anyway, so
interesting. I think I did know that one.
I will say I think mine's going to be more of a homer one, but I am interested to see how this one's going to go. Very interested to see how the Flyers do against Arizona. And that'll be in Arizona in the Bullet Arena. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. It's like, let's see how the Flyers play with those kids out there. Maybe the Flyers give them a nice little dose of pain. Maybe. I don't know. They did that to the Devils, but the refs weren't happy about it. So,
Well, hopefully, I'm always sketched about this, east-west flying, you know what I mean? Seeing this team, you know what I mean? So, yeah, and they have been, they've won the last 6 in a row. So, I mean, they're hot right now. Of course, we got to get them right now, but we'll see what happens.
Hey, who knows? Maybe the Flyers end their win streak.
Hopefully.
So, let's see here. So we're saying Lettinen was one of his favorite players to watch. So I will say Don saying against the Senators for his homer pick. And I will say, for me, I'm going to roll. I already did. So with that being said, we're going to move on. I'm sorry. I lost track there because I got lost in Stars fans. Because
maybe I need to not be hasty in my assumption that Maddie doesn't smoke.
No. Well played. But Prism threw out more, and he threw out Tim Thomas, Andrew Raycroft, Roman Turek, which actually I should have remembered Roman Turek, and Artur Zerbe as well. I forgot Artur Zerbe as well on that one.
Yeah, Tim Thomas is at the end of his career.
Yep. And let's see here. On to our next one, which is going to be Player of the Week.
All right. I'll jump in real quick. Well
played, Don.
Yeah, that's what I was giggling at. So I'm gonna go with Coyotes goaltender Connor Ingram as my Player of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
He had a great week. Actually, going back into November, he's just been, like I said earlier, he's just been outstanding. In his last 5 games, he's 5-0. He's got 2 shutouts. He's given up 4 goals in those 5 games. His worst game was against the Colorado Avalanche, where he gave up 3 goals on 31 shots. This kid is just unbelievable. And one thing and this is kind of like a bonus to what he's done this week. His last 5 opponents, all Stanley Cup champions within the last 5 years.
Yep. I saw that note.
Insane.
That is crazy when you think about that.
Tip of the cap to Connor Ingram for coming in and handling business. Shutting out the Vegas Golden Knights, which is very tough to do. And you shut out a hurting Washington Capitals team. But, I mean, anytime you have Alex Ovechkin, it's not going to be a situation where it's going to be easy to shut a team like that out.
All right. Robbie, what you got?
I actually had Connor Ingram as well. It's hard not to pick a role with the goaltender and, tying into the Flyers next game. Just to build upon what Brian said, .968 save percentage over these last 5 games and with a 9.9 goals against average. If we want to bring up another name, we look at Matthew Barzal's getting his act together for the New York Islanders over the past week. He has 3 goals and 5 assists. Quick math for 8 points. But lots of good plus minus on the period. He is a +4 in that given time period. So he's starting to play well out there on the island. Yeah, whatever.
I'm sure he's glad he's not off to the start that he had last year.
Sure.
I'm gonna roll with I will roll with Ingram for me. And I'm hoping that all this positivity we're talking about, hopefully this leads to the Flyers getting a win on Thursday. A little bit of reverse psychology. So, hopefully that'll will it into existence. Donna saying, I'm going to go with Connor in wait a sec.
I'm really hoping Anaheim really does something with this penalty kill here. Down 1-0, about second half of the first period there. Beat Colorado, please.
All right, gents. Our final one for the shootout, and that is, of course, hot take of the week. Robbie,
you're not gonna like mine.
I'm not gonna like yours.
Neither one of you are gonna like mine.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I'll start off with mine real quick. I said it before earlier in the show. I'll say it again. Garnet Hathaway getting a major penalty due to the lineman's late whistle, and Luke Hughes basically stopped playing is the worst call I've ever seen in my life. Worst call ever. I've seen plenty of them.
For those who missed earlier in the show, Robbie gave a sneak preview. And Bri, what you got for your hot take? Or should I save you for last, since me nor Rob are gonna like it?
Don't matter.
All right, go ahead.
Don't matter. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I think Connor Ingram winds up shutting the Flyers out tomorrow night.
They're shut out. Damn.
Kid's on fire.
Interesting.
Kid is on fire.
All right.
Hope I'm wrong though.
My hot take of the week will be that we will get a goal we will get an own goal from Connor Ingram in the game. He's going to all the hype, and he's going to screw himself over.
None of you can score on me, so I score on myself.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going with that one.
You know what, Don? I had thought about that and going with Patrick Kane getting a hat trick, but
Kane scores a hat trick. Leave me alone and let me dream.
I'm with you, dude. Like I'm a Kane fan. Y'all know this. Y'all know me long enough to know that I'm a big Patrick Kane fan. So I could second that.
Right. So with that being said, ladies and gents, that will do it for this edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. We thank everybody for joining us once again here. As always, a privilege and an honor, and always a treat to have a live show with these gentlemen on and with you fans, you fam chatting up there. We love you guys. So with that, We were once again brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. If you need an appointment, go to specializedphysicaltherapy.com to get rid of all those aches and pains that you might be feeling. And next week on Tuesday, we will have a Game 2 live react to. It'll be at 8 o'clock, and it will be the Flyers getting their first taste of Nashville. So the Flyers get to go to where the catfish people roam and get to deal with the Nashville Predators. So we'll see how the Flyers match up against that East versus West matchup. Until then, guys, we will see you next week right here on a2dradio.com. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace and love, everyone.